All right. Hi, everybody. As you can see, we have Dr. O over there. Today, Dr. O will be sharing on how to discipline your child. So, do's and don'ts in effective guidance. Just a little bit more about Dr. O. She graduated from NUS with a bachelor's degree in medicine and surgery in 1997. And subsequently, she went on to obtain her master's in pediatrics and became a member of the Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health. Dr. O's clinical interests include general pediatric patients, including emergency pediatric, general well-being checkups, newborn screening, non-complicated ENT problems, such as the removal of foreign bodies in the nose and ears, something pretty common with a lot of babies, and vaccinations, and also giving medical travel advice. All right, over to you, Dr. O.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think maybe you might be a little bit disappointed, hoping that I'll talk about medical conditions in babies or even children. But to me, it's not just all about health. In a child's growing up, the most important thing, I think, is the relationship between parents and child and what we should be teaching for our children. So besides them growing up healthy, we want them to grow up well. And there are new guidelines recently with regards to disciplining the child. And later on, I'll explain to you what this is all about. I am a mother myself, and I've always been known to be a tiger mom when my kids are much younger. I don't quite like the title, but once they are grown up already, I think I don't regret what I have done. I'm not asking you to be a tiger mom, but it's just that certain things, there must be rules. And I hope that this is more a sharing session between myself and you to teach you how and to give you some guidelines as to what we can accept in our children and what we cannot, so that we can bring up good as well as healthy children to enjoy our next few decades with them. Okay, so why do we really need to know? Why do we need to discuss about discipline? Doesn't it come quite easily? Or do we really need to discipline our children? They should know what to do, isn't it? Or even some people will say that, nowadays we even address daddy and mummies by their names. Do we really need to teach them manners? Do they need to teach them about what they can do, what they cannot do at all? I think that's pretty important, because as a young baby or even a young child, they do not know what is right, what is wrong. So as a parent, it is for us to set for them the rules and regulations to teach them values so that we can enjoy them later on in life. I'm sure you will be very familiar with all the pictures here. You will see spanking. When we get angry at them, you don't listen to me, I whack you, and then we pull their ears. And of course, the most favorite now, after watching all those super nannies, we make them stand in the corner and have timeouts. I sure hope we don't have to use belts to cane them. And I'm sorry, this will be something that is very extreme, that is not allowed nowadays. Okay, so discipline is something that is very age-old. If you look at all those hieroglyphics drawings from Egypt, you will see that this was what happens. You don't behave yourself, you get punished. Or in a very simple Singaporean term, you cannot whack that. So you better behave, listen to me, grab your ears, and listen to me there, okay? So is this all right? Can we really do this to our kids? And should we be doing this to our kids? No, it's just really a very fine, thin line between discipline and child abuse. Okay, we can say that. So to some people, I'm just teaching my child what to do. So we did have an experience with one of in the A&E, there was this child that was brought in with policemen and the father yelling and screaming. So it all happened because the father was queuing up to buy 4D, the most favorite pastime of Singaporeans. And the child was obviously not interested in queuing up. So started fidgeting, screaming, yelling, and started making a lot of noise. So father was very angry, started scolding the child. And the child continued to misbehave. So in his fit of anger, he took out his belt and wanted to cane the child, or rather to whip the child. And this was witnessed by bystanders, and they decided that, we should put a stop to this because using a belt to hit a child is really child abuse. So they warned him and advised him not to do it. But he continued on and he got even more upset. What has it got to do with you? It's none of your business, it's my child. I can do whatever I want. So he got even more upset because by all the comments by the parents, the bystanders, he got even more upset. So he took out and said, you don't believe me? I'm going to whack him. So of course, nowadays, people are not going to take that standing down. They took out their cameras and they started taking videos. And on top of it, they called the police because this is very obvious child abuse. And so the next thing, the child was brought to the A&E and seen by myself. So what I'm trying to say is that discipline is not just discipline. It's just a very fine line between discipline and child abuse. So what are the latest guidelines from AAP? AAP stands for American Academy of Paediatrics. AP policy statement says that effective discipline to raise healthy children highlights why it's important to focus on teaching good behavior rather than punishing bad behavior. Because research shows that spanking, slapping, and other forms of physical punishment don't work well to correct a child's behavior. The same holds true for yelling at or shaming a child. I think shaming a child is the worst thing to happen because it leaves a psychological scar in them. Beyond being ineffective, harsh physical and verbal punishments can also damage a child's long-term physical and mental health, making them very frightened and not confident of themselves. Okay, so according to authoritative parenting principles, discipline is less about correcting behavior and more about teaching children skills that help them behave according to developmentally appropriate expectations. I think the keyword here is expectations. What do we expect in our children? How do we expect them to behave at home and in public? And I'm sure you also have times where you decide that, at home, the child will scream and run and yell, and then outside they are like this meek little child, and then they behave themselves. That's what we hope for, but it's not entirely true. Sometimes they go out, they also wreak havoc outside, they start to cry and start to melt down outside also. So it's really teaching them what we can accept and what is acceptable to other people. In fact, the word discipline comes from the Latin word disciplina, which means teaching. So it's really about teaching and guiding. Like I said, right from the beginning, we are here to set the values and to teach them what is right, what is wrong, and what can be accepted and what cannot be accepted. So according to the American Academy of Pediatrics and authoritative parenting gurus, effective discipline relies on a warm, supportive relationship between parent and child. Otherwise, the AAP says, fear is the motivation for good behavior rather than logic, personal responsibility, awareness of others, or respect for authority. Okay, so right from the very, very beginning, so I'm going to start right from the beginning because everything starts well. It will end, what starts well ends well also. For children from 0 to 3 months, do we really teach them or do we discipline them? What do we do with young babies who are always very challenging? They're always crying, right? We don't know what they're crying for. But I always tell every parent, they only eat, poop, and cry. Actually, very simple, not that difficult. And when they're 0 to 3 months, newborn to 3 months, it is really about building a warm, supportive relationship and developing healthy routines. Routines is the other keyword. And that lays the foundation of trust, which is essential for successful discipline. So you can start building that relationship as soon as your child is born, as soon as a baby is out, and they will put the baby on your tummy and give you that skin-to-skin contact. And your baby, when the baby is just born, you can hug and cuddle the baby, and you can also feed the baby when he's hungry. And how do we show love? Love is also about changing, dressing them when he's wet, making sure that they're comfortable, cuddling him when he's upset. So you see, I'm not wrong to say that it summarizes, if you look at the first sentence, they only eat, poop and cry. So that's how we handle them. We feed them, we change them, we cuddle them, and interacting with them in meaningful ways. Consistently responding to your child's needs during this stage lays a foundation of trust between you, which is the main ingredient of successful discipline. But is it really possible? And also you see you have your mother-in-law standing next to you and say, don't go and carry the baby down. And then you're always screaming and screaming. So what do we do? Right? All the old people say, right, you shouldn't be carrying. To a certain extent, they are right. If the baby is sleeping very well, sorry, please go and take your time to sleep also. Don't go and disturb the baby. Say, oh, you're so cute, then I want to cuddle. If you want to cuddle, go and cuddle your soft toy. Don't go and carry the baby and cuddle them when they are sleeping. Leave them to learn to sleep by themselves. You can get a better rest yourself also by leaving them alone. Okay, then of course, there are times when baby cries and cries and cries, and they're always crying. And you know, during the first month of confinement, I'm sure all of you who have gone through it will agree with me. It is really very tiring. For you guys, maybe you are not so used to it. Doctors are terrible. We are always working, even in the middle of the night. So getting up in the middle of the night to work and everything is not something new. And it's something that I'm quite used to. So for that, in that aspect, I'm actually a little bit more, I'm luckier than all of you because I'm used to those type of hours, waking up in the middle of the night. But of course, when you don't have enough sleep, you're really tired and your baby keeps crying, you really feel like spanking the fella, you know, because it's like, why is he crying all the time? But like I told you before, babies cry because they're hungry, they need to be cuddled, or maybe they're wet. Beyond that, then I would say maybe there's something more to it. Okay, so if your baby is crying excessively, you might be in discomfort. So it might be better for you if you have changed the diapers, fed the baby well, and you've cuddled enough already, and baby is still screaming all the time. Maybe it's time for you to seek medical attention. Also, get someone else to help out in the care of the baby. Babies are very sensitive. They will know it when you are upset and when you're tired. And you know, during confinement time, you're sticky, you're hot. Mother says cannot shower, cannot turn on aircon, cannot do this, cannot do that. Then you're smelly, you're hot, you're sweaty, and you just feel lousy. And all that emits a very negative energy. And when you're carrying baby can sense that. So sometimes it might be better to get someone else, maybe daddy, to help you to carry the baby so that you can get some rest and freshen yourself up. Get enough sleep, get enough rest, as insufficient rest really can make a postpartum mother more stressed and more prone to depression. So, like I said, is it hungry? Is it just wanting to carry? It might be because baby is colicky. So colic is something that is very commonly seen in newborns. Okay, sometimes they may have cardiac conditions that will put them into maybe fast heart rate that makes them feel really uncomfortable. They could have some underlying lung problem that could give rise to maybe chest pain that is unexplained. Or there may be other issues. So if you're not too sure, like I say, you have changed the baby, you have fed them well, and the baby is still crying all the time, maybe it's better for you to seek medical attention. So what should I do? Should you just book yourself a staycation in MBS and leave the baby to mother-in-law, father, as well as the nanny? Sounds good, right? But I'm sure no. We all want to be there for our babies. So what can we do for the babies? We can actually start with some routines. We don't need to be very strict in our routines itself. And actually, after having my first baby, I realized that routines are good, but it is sometimes difficult to stick to it. And we should not be so anal and so stressed out about keeping to certain things. So I'm one person who absolutely hates it when people are late. So I make sure that I'm not late. So when I have my baby first time, and we have to go for some appointments or even some gatherings, and then we're all dressed up, very pretty, waiting to go out. The minute we step out of the door, the baby goes, "Bleh." Oh my God, it's time to clean up. And there's shit all over the bag, all overflowing out. And then you're looking at the time, it's like, oh no, it's time to go already. If not, we'll be late. And I used to get so terribly upset because that means that I'll be late. And I'll start to scream. I start to get very upset because it really, really upsets my whole schedule itself. So by and by, I also learned from it. I had this other friend who is always late. And she tells me, you know, Ming Choo, every time I have another kid, it gives me reason to be later. It's all right. Anyway, I got 3 kids, so it's only reasonable for me to be late. I have 3 kids to handle, you know, not one, you know. So 1 kid, I late for half an hour. 3 kids, I can be late for 1.5 hours. And trust me, she's always fashionably late. And after a while, I'm not asking to be late all the time, but after a while, we also understand that, yes, sometimes we may not be able to keep to strict schedules. So there's really no point in stressing yourself out. Routines really, but do we still want to set routines for the baby? What do I mean by setting routines for the baby? Setting routines for the baby means that we give them some idea what is going to come. That means you can take a shower for baby, talk to the baby, sing to the baby, massage the baby. Then after that, change to something fresh, then feed the baby, turn down all the lights, and then hum a little music for them and then put them to sleep so that they know that every time after shower, there'll be massage, and then it's time when it's dark and it's time to sleep. It gives them the idea that, and to lessen their behavioral issues down the road, like fighting bedtime, because they already know that this is coming. After shower, massage, and then the lights will turn down, I drink my milk, and then I go to sleep. So routines also help you ensure that your baby is well fed and rested, and that can prevent unwanted behavior before it even starts, because children tend to act out when they're very tired and when they're hungry. Okay, so what about going forward? What about the older ones that are about 4 to 9 months old? Can the same thing still apply? Then I would say not really, because 4 to 9 months old children are a little bit more interactive. They're not eat and sleep all the time already. They will want to have some interactions. So, and then they will learn how to flip. They will do a lot of things. So this is the time where we prevent, we distract, and redirect. I will elaborate later on. So, but as parents, we can set limits for babies by preventing them from grabbing the wrong things, baby-proofing the house, distracting them using a silly voice like, baby, let's go play. Then you talk nonsense to them. And then we also can replace them with another toy if they're grabbing for something that is dangerous. So with them starting a new milestone of rolling, grabbing, sitting, and crawling, you may want to make sure that you really child-proof your home. No more crystal balls, no more dangling earrings that they can grab. And unfortunately, you have to let your hair be tied up or shortened like mine. It's not so bad to have short hair. So it need not be long and dangling all over, because that is the time when babies will grab and put things into the mouth. That is part and parcel of the development. And I did have one mother who asked me before, but doctor, oh, didn't you say it's normal? And there you are, you see the child grabbing her hair, and she has curly hair. So those of us who have curly hair will know that you will have to put some lotion so that you don't have this fizzy lion bomb there, you know. So you need to apply some lotion, some creams to keep the curls there looking nice. And the child is going, oh, and putting it into the mouth. Can you imagine how much lotion they're grabbing in? So even though I say that it is fine for them to grab things and to put into their mouth, you must look at what they put inside. If they're putting in hair that has all the lotion, I don't think that's really reasonable. So please make sure that you child-proof the home and child-proof yourself. Okay, so at this stage, your baby doesn't understand yet what is right, what is wrong. There's no point saying that, I tell you, don't grab, don't put into the mouth. There's no such thing as don't put into the mouth. There's such a thing called washing their hands first before they put it in and looking at what they put into their mouth. Children at this age are just simply learning about the world through their budding, gross, and fine motor skills, where they can grab, put into the mouth there and direct it. And then they get so happy that they can put it into their mouth. So not only is this normal, it's also critical. It is critical for his development. You can't expect to swaddle your baby all the time and expect them to keep their hands by their side all the time and not put things into the mouth. So here are a few ways that you can set limits for baby without interfering this important task. So like I said, we want to first prevent. So we remove all opportunities for him to grab or put things into the mouth, things that you don't want them to put in, like your studded earrings. And we did have one but that was a little bit unexpected. You know, those little batteries that are this shaped one. So they're really quite hard to pop up from the shelf, the skin itself. But mommy decided to distract the child with that and thought that the child couldn't dig it. But you know that little finger there is actually quite powerful. Somehow other the baby managed to dig it out from the casing and pop and swallow it. So that's why I say you really need to be very careful. Don't underestimate that little finger. Okay, so remove all things that are potentially dangerous. This helps to cut down the times when you need to really watch them like a hawk. You can also distract the children. Remember, at this stage, babies are also testing their limits. They are curious. They want to touch everything and put things into their mouth. So this is the time when you can say, hey, look what I have here. Then you can, I'm not asking you to take out the phone, but you can take out a toy. You can take out anything. Anything to them is just interesting because it's something new. So to you, it's like, wallet, like, nothing interesting. But you can take out little pieces of paper, cards, anything. To them, it's just something new and it's quite interesting to them. You can also redirect them, offer him a toy and engage him by singing, going outside. I used to pick them up, go dancing around and sing song and play silly games together with them, start dancing and making stupid noises. And they get distracted quite easily. Okay. So around 6 months, your baby will begin to understand no by the tone of your voice. So it's not the no, it's not the word no, but it's the tone of your voice. You don't need to shout, okay? You don't need to word. It's just no, and it's a low tone, and you show an angry face. It's a very powerful word that can stop him in his tracks when he's headed for something dangerous. Okay, but of course, not everything is no. They touch something, no. They want to reach out for your phone. No. They want to take their food. No. They want to grab their bottle. No. Everything is no. We shouldn't be using that so frequently as it can lessen its powers. And it also discourages curiosity. We recommend reserving them in times of danger or behavior like hitting or biting other people. We really must stop your children from biting other people. So you may allow your child to bite you, but in the same note, they can bite you, they can also bite other people. And that's not something that is acceptable. Okay, so alternatively, we can say we don't play with trash because it's dirty. Let's find a toy you can play with. But don't expect your baby to understand what you are saying. I'm very sorry, they just don't understand that long sentences. It's more from the tone of the voice and really offering them something else for them to play with. Okay, then going on to 10 to 18 months, they start to be a little bit more interactional and they can understand better. So when children are looking for a reaction, sometimes we learn to so-called ignore them, but not like when you're doing your work and your baby wants your attention, wants to hug, and there you are just playing with your handphone or trying to buy, quickly get that flash deal and buy it now, or even replying your email. That's not what I'm talking about ignoring. We are talking about ignoring certain behaviors that we don't want them to do. Okay, so sometimes they throw food onto the floor just to get your attention. So those are the times where you may not want to give them the attention that they want to. Okay. Do we do timeout at this age? 10 to 18 months, make my little baby go and stand in the corner. Experts recommend that we should avoid timeout at this stage. During this stage, we can also distract and offer them something else. So at this stage, improved memory and an understanding of cause and effect, as well as social curiosity, bring new behavior challenges. It is fun to see them walk. Everybody's very happy. Hey, baby's taking the first step. So nice. that's when disaster starts. That's when you can lose weight, because if you are fast enough, you should be getting out of your chair and running towards your child, your baby, to pick them up from danger. So that's when you are not supposed to be sitting there in your couch and say, come, you come here, mommy will feed you. Sorry, you had to get off from that couch and go and play and interact with your child. So one of the classical examples is when the baby starts to throw food onto the floor. Why do babies love to fling food? Anyway, it's not just food, it's anything. They just like to throw, because this is the time where they learn casting. So it's not just putting things into the mouth. Now it's output, no more input already. So to them, it's interesting and it's fun to see things roll on the floor, or roll and disappear. They're also interested to see your reaction, or if you laugh at it or you get upset. Some babies do enjoy it when you look so miserable and you're screaming and yelling and say, not to throw the things on the floor. So you don't want to give them the attention then. Okay, so one tactic is to ignore it altogether. Ignoring behaviors, as long as it's not dangerous, works wonders if your little one is looking for a reaction from you. But if ignoring doesn't do the trick, then try telling them with a very emotional face, which I'm not good at it now, okay? You just tell them, we do not throw food, we eat food. At this stage, gestures reinforce the message. Sometimes you shake your head or you show them an angry face. Actually, children can understand and can recognize that. And you also want to teach them sometimes situational awareness. If he throws his food after you have said this, then use a logical consequence. One directly, don't, I tell you not to throw. Sorry, you just tell them, sorry, mealtime is over, and you take them out of the high chair. You can offer them another toy and say, this is for throwing, not your food. So if you're really worried that your baby will starve, which doesn't happen in Singapore, sorry, we are always feeding our babies, you can try offering him a healthy snack much later. And if he throws it, he just doesn't get it anymore. After a while, he will realize that, oh, if I throw this, I'm going to feel hungry. They will start to learn. Okay, so you just keep repeating the process again and again until he gets it. So do we do timeout? Not at this age. I do timeouts for my children, but certainly not at this age, because they just don't understand. Okay, yeah, they're developmentally not there yet. Okay, so use a little bit of humor, laugh together with them, distract them, sing song, drag them away and dance around, and then start to do silly moves together with them, do a little bit of exercise. And that's when we can start to distract them. Humor can be an effective way of disciplining, but don't make yourself look like a stupid monkey there jumping in front of your child, okay? You have to do it in appropriate situations. Singing or doing wacky dances can distract babies and toddlers from unwanted behavior and gives you a chance to redirect them. Humor can be used to stop impending meltdowns. I think that's something that we're always very scared of. We can play silly games, and we can also encourage compliance when the toddlers are protesting. Being silly can make boring tasks fun. Making funny noises, making animal noises can also be a way for us to connect with our child and to learn different things for them. Oh, so now come toddlers when they're a little bit older. I won't teach you what to do, but more to handle irrational toddlers. You know, we do see this very commonly. Sometimes in supermarkets, sometimes in departmental store. I don't want to buy you this toy. No, it's too expensive. And you see them lying on the floor, crying and screaming. Then some glare at you and then fold their arms and it's like, I don't want this. I think we are all very familiar with this. And then do we give in because they look so sad and they're crying there? I'm afraid not. So irrational behavior in toddlers, like melting down when you give them the wrong cup, all this stems from the three main things. The areas, you must remember that the areas of the brain that process logical thinking are still developing. Sorry, in short, means that your child is still not logical at this point. It's no point telling them, you don't do this because nobody's going to like you. You don't bite people because people don't like you. You just stop them there and then. They don't yet have the tools to manage big emotions. They're also just beginning to realize that not everyone thinks the same way that they do. Biting to them may seem quite nice, but it doesn't seem nice to the person who has been bitten. Parents and caregivers can also handle irrational toddler behavior, but remember the reasons behind it and trying to support them through this period of time. Okay, so how do we really handle irrational kids? First and foremost, actually, I may have to jump to this first. Keep your cool. No matter how angry you are, take in a deep breath, stay calm. When you do, it also helps to show your child how to handle stressful situations, okay? Don't start to scream because your children will follow after what you do. They will also start to scream. So remember, keep your cool first, okay? So I'm going to switch the slide over. Then you can be a support to them when your toddler's behavior is disproportionately intense, like rolling around. You can sometimes show them a very ugly face and just be very firm. No, or this is not acceptable. But you just have to remember to learn how to hold your anger there. Okay, so then you can also tell them, I know you feel, so sometimes it's to preempt them. For example, if your little one is in a full meltdown state because you pass by the favorite toy shop or the ice cream shop without stopping, you can explain to them first before they start to get really upset. Like, I know you feel disappointed because we didn't stop to buy your toy or to get you an ice cream. I wish we could, but we really need to get home to cook dinner. If not, Papa is going to get so hungry and we don't want Papa to be hungry, right? Later, Papa will bite you. So we can do simple things like that to distract them so that they will know that before they even start to get upset. So we preempt and we understand what they're thinking about. And always be very consistent. First, both parents must agree on something. Okay, that means Papa and Mama must decide this is something I cannot accept. I don't want babies or my children to buy all the toys. Only can buy one toy, full stop, when we go out during a certain time. So both parents must agree. You can't have one person saying that, yeah, just give in, just give it to them. Why can't you just buy? It's not that we don't have money. Then the child will be very, very confused. When can I buy? Yeah, mommy always say can buy. So next time they will know who to tackle already. So both parents must be consistent and you must always act out what you set for the limits there. Okay, so when is this irrationality not normal? Sorry, to us parents, all their meltdowns and all their irrationality is just not normal. Okay, I think you all agree, right? When they cry, everything is just not normal, but not entirely true. Okay, sometimes they are just being naughty, and sometimes there's more to it, like ADHD. I do have parents who come to me and telling me that, oh, my baby is now moving a lot, and then it's always turning around non-stop, and that is when the baby is 10 months old. And they ask me, is my baby having ADHD? And I'll say, oh, I'm so sorry. There's really no way to tell. If we're talking about ADHD, which stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, we're talking about maybe a little bit older children, like maybe 4 years old. So what are some of the signs and symptoms of it? Forgetfulness, carelessness, risky behavior, going on a scooter, riding down the park, difficulty standing still, fidgeting all the time, like maybe what I'm doing now, trouble getting along with other children, they can't communicate, and then they're just snatching toys, and then they're screaming at everybody else. Daydreaming is probably also one of the symptoms. Excessive talking. Then you see all these things now, then after looking at all the signs, you say, maybe my child has got ADHD also. Then what do I do? These are all the things that I mentioned, but it's all written up. And okay, the favorite now, Dr. Google. Then we say, I don't want to pay so much money to go and see the psychologist. They only want to earn my money. Why don't I go onto all the internet? All the assessment, all the questionnaires are there. They are so available. I can just tick it off. Then after seeing 2 symptoms, you don't even want to spend your time reading it because you yourself have ADHD. You just read the first 2 symptoms and decide, I think my child has got ADHD. He's just like that. He has ADHD. I'm so sorry, but all these internet questionnaires and assessments that are widely available are not really that reliable, not because the assessment is not reliable, but the way we interpret it is not reliable. So you should not use this to self-diagnose, or even better still, diagnose your neighbor's kids. Hey, I think your son very naughty. Always come and play with my dog and pull my dog's tail. I think your son got ADHD. You know, I went onto internet and then they say this is, and pulling the dog's tail is one of the symptoms. I think your child has it. I'm so sorry, but I think you should be considering getting medical attention. Maybe maybe first seeing a doctor to see whether it's more likely anxiety on the parent's part, or the child really has got some symptoms, and maybe getting a referral to see the psychologist. Will do a more detailed test. The testing will involve questionnaire for both the caretaker as well as sometimes the schools, because children can act differently in different places and situations. So like today, I have one mother who came to me, and the boy was so well behaved. He's just sitting there. And then whatever questions you ask him, he will answer correctly and nicely. Actually, he sits better than I do. And then the mother is saying, I think he has ADHD. You know, I'm very scared because he's daydreaming. And then at home, he's running around and screaming and playing like, wow. And when he's playing with his cousins, he goes all wild. So I said, oh, so mommy, is that the same thing you're hearing from the teachers in school? They say, oh no, the teacher says that he's very well behaved in school and they really love him. They say he's a very good boy. So when you have differing comments like that, then I think it really needs a little bit more detailed assessment. Maybe it's your own expectations. Maybe you have not set the rules for your child, and maybe you have not really disciplined him and teaching him what to do and telling him what you expect. But in school, the teachers tell him, I expect you to sit down. I expect you to write your things. I expect you to hand in your homework or to do your coloring. Then you can go and play. And that's why he's well behaved in school, but not at home. So that's why it is good for us to get a little bit more in-depth interview and physical examinations from the medical personnel itself. Okay, I hope this is just a very quick summary, but like I say, it's more for us to share our parenting experience. And I think I'll be happy to take any questions if you have.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Oh. That was great. Yes, let's open up the floor to some questions that you may have for Dr. Oh. Okay. So we have a question. Thank you, Dr. O, for insightful presentation. Sometimes we as adults may use our school and our children when they do something wrong. And this is especially when we may be stressed or like. So the question is, how do we balance needing to make amends for losing our school and not the discipline?
Oh, that sounds so familiar. Sorry, so for those people who know me, you do know that I have a very hectic schedule and I don't have a maid. So I have to be the maid in the house, cleaning up after everybody, cooking dinner, rushing off for work, making sure that I fetch the children. So I am very stressed all the time. So yeah, and I do, and I'm quite guilty screaming at my children. You're absolutely right. So when you're very tired, I'm also a human being. So I will also scream, and trust me, I scream. I told you I was well known as a tiger mom. So I'll really scream and yell at them whenever they do something wrong. And last time my children would tell me that, you know, I would just scream and I assume that I was right all the time. And they should understand why I'm screaming at them. And my daughter, as now they're two, the both of them are teenagers. One is 19 and one is 17. So there was once I asked my older daughter, I said, darling, are you angry when I scold you? Because she always looks so bizarre, you know. She's always the one who cannot whack one because I always was scolding her. She's the scold already, no reaction type. Then it's like, okay, Lord, then the more you don't have reaction, the more I scold. So after that, she will tell me, Mommy, I'm also a human being, you know. I also have my own emotions. I'm also angry, you know. You scold me, of course I get angry. You know, you think I always let you scold me. Instead, I don't answer back because I know you did this to correct me because you love me. So that's the key point. So usually, okay, so we can lose our cool, but losing the cool, we should not be turning to physical punishment. not like the guy who took out the belt and tried to whip the child. Okay, that's totally unacceptable. We can lose our cool by raising our voice and shouting at them and screaming at them to pack up their toys and things like that. But after that, when we cool down already, then, okay, I don't start off with an apology because that will also undermine your authority. So I'll say, look, why did mommy scold you? Do you know why I scold you? And then they will just look at me like, oh, I know, you always scold me, right? So then I'll ask them, do you know why mommy scold you? Then when they keep really quiet, I'll give them the options. Is it because you didn't keep your toys? Or is it because you did this or you did that? So I give them a few options. Then they will tell me, oh, because I didn't keep my toys. So I say, yeah. So you do know, right, that mommy doesn't have a maid. Okay. And we don't want the house to be messy. And you know, Mimi will take the toy and put into her mouth. Or she will take your favorite toy and pluck out the hair, pull out the hair, pluck out the arm of the toy, of your favorite Barbie doll. So we want to keep them away, right? So that everybody's happy and then you don't have a broken toy later on. So you do know why mommy doesn't want you to throw it all around. So it's time for you to keep your toy. Then I'll ask them, so am I punishing you because I'm angry with you? Or am I punishing you because I love you? So ultimately, at the end of it, I'll just, sorry, I'm very bad. I'll just convince them that I did it because I love you a lot. And I want you to be a well-behaved child that everybody likes. And I'll explain to them why I did it. I hope that will answer your question. But basically, we have to explain to them after the whole incident. You say, mommy is also angry. I am angry, and we are all we're all entitled to emotions. Okay. Then after that, I say, okay, I'm sorry. I will try to, if you behave yourself next time, mommy will not do this anymore. Okay. Then I don't have to scold you, right? If you do this, you keep your toy. Do I have to scold you? No, I don't have to. But I don't start off with an apology. I explain to them first why I'm angry. And then I ask them, is it reasonable for me to be angry? Yeah. Okay, I think I see the next question before you can tell me. So when is an appropriate age to introduce timeouts? Okay, so for most children, we're talking about maybe 2.5 to 3 years. But of course, depending, some children are very, very smart. Some of them are really precocious. And by about 2 years old, they really understand what is happening. But most of the time, it's maybe about 2.5 to 3 years old, thereabout. And the timeouts can be removing them. Most of us now let them have handphones and TV times. So that can be one of the things to remove all those rewards. And then, of course, standing in the corner, then counting to 10. And after that, deciding, okay, it's enough. I think then we come out of the box and then we explain to them what they have done wrongly and what they can do better next time. So besides correcting them, we have to tell them what can be done better for the next occasion. And the next time when she does it well, we have to quickly reward. Reward not by monetary rewards or with toys. It can be just a hug or even a compliment for them. Okay?
One of my notes, which is that is there any way to tell when your child is because they are not your perhaps they may be struggling with comprehension?
Correct. So I think that is quite a tough question. So it depends on how old your child is. So something that I've learned also, when you're saying no to your child, you have to be quite quick in deciding, number one. So for ourselves, it's also a training for us adults and parents. So we have to ask ourselves, are they challenging your authority or they're just exploring? Okay. So sometimes we have to work on it. Like if they try to reach out for a toy and you tell them, or not a toy, maybe a crystal glass, then you tell them, no, don't touch. And then you see your little toddler looking at you and then trying to look for your reaction and then wanting to touch it. And then finally touching it. That's really called challenging your authority. But if they are like blur, playing, run, and then a bit blur, then they drop the crystal ball, then that one is an accident. They should not be punished. Okay, so at different age group, we expect different behaviors from them and whether they're really challenging authority. But basically, the thing about whether they understand or not, you can also give them simple instructions. For example, the younger ones is give this to mommy. So simple actions, give this to mommy. Okay, that's very good. You did well. Come, give yourself a clap. So if they can understand all this, usually they can understand some simple instructions, but do not dish out a few things like, I tell you how many times, keep your toys, then after that you go to the room, you take off your clothes, you go into the toilet, and then you go and shower. There are at least about 5 instructions. Seriously, I don't think any child can really comprehend what you're trying to say because they can only probably take 1 instruction at each time. So you tell them 1 instruction, they can do it, then you go on to the next instruction. So that will also help you to understand whether your child can really comprehend your instructions. So it may not always be the child who is a problem. It may be us with too many things at the back of our mind and having too many things to do, and then we give them too many instructions and too many things to do. And they just cannot understand and they cannot comprehend the instructions.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Oh.
Thank you.
It was really helpful. And thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today. We really appreciate it. If anyone has any more questions for Dr. Oh, you may feel free to look for her at Kids Clinic. It's a very lovely place. So yes. All right. Thank you so much once again.
Have a good day.